Hello, welcome to a new video presented by DSC Charles BB. In this new tutorial, we're going to study inequalities. So we're going to start right now with inequalities. Okay, inequalities. Inequalities is just involving the change of signs of equations. They're just like equations, but the difference with equations is that equations are only based with equal signs as such. Inequalities involve other signs which are other than equal signs. That is the main difference with equations. Now, inequality, you can have the greater sign, you can have the lesser sign, the less than sign, you can have the greater than or equals to, or you can have the less than and equals to. These are the four main things that we use in inequalities. While in equations we use the equal sign. So now we're going to see some basic rules of inequalities. The basic rules of inequalities are, if I have, number one rule is, if I have an inequality A is greater than C, then it implies that if I add a value to A and I add that same value to B, then A plus B will still be greater than C plus B. The example here is, if I take A to be 2, I take C to be 5. No, let's take another example. I take A to be 5 and C to be 2. We realize that 5 is greater than 2. Now, if I add up the same value here, 3 and 3 here, and I still see 8 is greater than 5, then this rule is true. The second rule is, if A is greater than C, then if I subtract a certain number B here, and I subtract the same number B here, then it's still greater than. Take the same example. Here we have 5 greater than 3. We subtract here by 3. And we subtract here, you say 5 greater than 2, subtract here by 3 and subtract here by 3. Now, we are going to have here 2, and we see here 2 is always greater than -1. So, the second rule, which is A greater than C, subtracting both sides of the inequality by the same value, is going to leave the inequality at the same position. That is with the greater sign. The third rule of the inequality is, if I have still my A greater than C, if I divide here by B, now let's start with multiplication. Multiplication rule of inequality states that if I have A greater than C, if I multiply this inequality on this side by a value B, and I multiply here by a value B, the position of inequality will stay the same, if and only if B is positive. That's the third rule. The third rule states that the position of the inequality will stay the same if and only if the value I'm multiplying both sides of the inequality is positive. Let's take an example. And in the other hand, if it is negative, then you change the position of the inequality to less than in this case. Now, let's take an example. We still have the same value of A. A is 5 greater than C. We said C is 2. If I multiply this side by 3 and I multiply this side by 3, we see that 3 times 5 is 15. 15 is always greater than 2 times 3, 6. That's true. So if and only if this is true, if and only if the sign of the factor multiplying, in this case 3, is positive 3. Now, in the next case, if I multiply, we have 5 greater than 2. If I multiply here instead by negative 3, and I multiply here instead by negative 3, we realize that 5 times negative 3 is negative 15. But is it greater than negative 6? No. You see that here you have to ask yourself some questions. Negative 15 isn't greater than negative 6. So upon multiplying with a negative sign, you will change the position, the orientation of the inequality. So the inequality in this case will become less than negative 15 is less than negative 6. Then is in and if and only if the b in this case is a negative 1. In this case is negative 3. So these are the basic rules involved in inequalities.